the start of last year, this has been a matchup that was always highly anticipated, but has really struggled to deliver. Both teams have had their ups and downs, but I mean, right now we are a little bit concerned about the Knights, Mandy. They just have not been showing up so far.
I actually tipped against them for this match as well. Will that come back to might be? Probably. I have cursed every team tonight so far. So I might have cursed Wildcard as well. The Knights might end up winning this one. So, the Knights, they're not looking great for them at the moment. But I feel like that this is a team that does take things week by week. I can only imagine that they've looked inwards and said, all right, something's going on. It's time to change things up. Because really, with how the last few matches have gone, there is still no one locked in for this major. It is still not over yet.
Yeah, it certainly isn't. And, stranger things have happened. 0-2 to start off, but I'm sure that they will be looking for anything right now. Wildcard, their opponents, the team that came in and made a bit of a strange roster change, I want to say, that netted them a Playday 1 win, obviously didn't really follow through on Playday 2, Dev. What are you making of this roster now? What on earth is that?
Yeah. Okay. All right, OJ. Roster change. We got Bouncin, who I believe has finally changed his name back to Bouncin instead of whatever it was before.
Monster?
And we got Tuhan as well, formerly from Ground Zero. Tui is known to be a really, really strong individual player. He's a bit of a ranked demon, one of the high champion players. I don't know if you ever hit #1 spot. Probably did, that kind of guy. And he's nuts. Bouncin obviously nuts as well, especially on those entries. That's what he made his name for on the Chiefs. And Wildcard, yes, they got a little bit of confidence from us after their Playday 1 win over Tide, but Playday 2 falling to Gladiators. Hard to say that Wildcard is a completely different team, even though they've made these 2 roster changes.
Yeah.
If anything, I will say what they got going for them now is that Knights are down in the dumps, right? Like, only won 5 rounds across their 2 games so far. If there was ever a day for Wildcard to do an upset, it would be here against the very wounded and very meek-looking Lions on the Knights.
That is for sure. Let's have a look at a map, Vito, that will determine, of course, a little bit of our conversation. Now, it is really important to note, just Wildcard's start to every stage so far this year. They've kickstarted Playday 1 with a win, and things just haven't looked that pretty afterwards. So this is a good opportunity for them to tidy up after their GG loss. We head to KAFE, and I'm holding very quiet reservations here, just given Wildcard's record. But Mandy, are you leaning toward Knights here? They did get that ban on Bank.
I think that I am leaning towards the Knights here. I would have to agree with you on that one. It feels like Knights were happy to leave in Bank because historically Knights have been pretty good at it, but so Wildcard. So coming to these last 2 maps to, I suppose, choose between, they want to go to the one that Wildcard play less and don't seem as good at, which is KAFE, right? Knights, I feel like we haven't seen their most recent form on KAFE, so I feel like it's hard to judge how good they'll be on it. But I don't think that Wildcard have as good of a KAFE as they have Bank, because their Bank is quite exciting to watch.
Well, that's just it. If we'd gone to Bank, Dev, this would be a very exciting prospect, considering they're both sitting with very, very pretty win rates and records on that map. But, this one probably leaves it a little bit more so up in the air.
Yeah, well, the thing for KAFE, for me, looking at the history of both these teams, it's not a map that they play very much. Both of them ban it quite a bit. For Knights, it's their 3rd most banned map. For Wildcard, they have a lot of maps that they ban, so it's one of their most banned, but they kind of ban a lot of everything, to be honest.
Yeah.
And in terms of results, Knights only ever played this map once in recent history. It was a 7-1 over Chiefs in the OCS, which is like the national playoffs.
Yep.
And for Wildcard, they lost it in OCS to Hungry Lions, they won it to Ludovica, and they lost it to Chiefs. To be frank, not a lot to read into for either of these teams. Both these teams have changed a lot since they last played the map.
Yep.
I think that we're more looking at recent form and, admittedly, a lot of unknowns. Have these teams been heavy practicing KAFE? Because that's what I think is going to be more impactful. We don't know that because the teams obviously don't tell you what they practice for obvious reasons. So it's going to be about form. It's going to be about practice. Right now, I think that Knights is clearly, to me, the better team. Clearly the better team. However, right now, what has been going on these last 2 weeks, it is not the Knights that we know and love. It's this speakeasy change was meant to be a huge upgrade. It's turned out to be a disaster. So I think that if there was ever a chance for Wildcard to get an upset, it would be here.
Well, you've set the stage very nicely. I'm just going to leave it there because, quite honestly, I'm just looking forward to this matchup. We head to KAFE, it's Knights, it's Wildcard, and there's two big brains to run you through the action.
Guys, it's not often that I am pretty good with my predictions. So far, 2 from 2. I did go with the Knights, so I do kind of fear for them. They basically have to win this game if they're going to have any chance of the match. It's already looking quite difficult because the top end of our particular region at the moment looks very stacked. So must win. Knights can't lose this game.
No, 2 wins, or 2 losses rather, already puts them in a very bad position. Another loss here is all but going to confirm their spot outside of the top 2. So it's a big team, it's an Oast duel, and it's KAFE. Not a huge fan of KAFE, as everyone knows at this point, but we saw a lot of creativity in the earlier match today, and we might see inklings of that here between these two.
A bit of special history between these two teams. It's the 20th time that Wildcard and Knights have faced off. Wildcard having won 11 to the Knights 8. We'll see if the Knights can get a little bit closer to evening up that one as we head into this match of KAFE, which all but confirms, Guz, that for 2 weeks straight of APAC South, only 2 maps played, Oregon and KAFE. Hopefully Playday 4 will offer us something a little bit different, just something else, please. Obviously, Ying, Flores, both gone. Not really too much of a surprise with these two. Mira as well gets taken off the board. I assume Valkyrie should be the last one here by Wildcard.
I can see as Wildcard ponder their final decision. Mute was the huge ban in that earlier game this evening. But he'll skate through this time. Yep, Valkyrie taken off the board. And this is all around very much more standard lineup that you would anticipate here on KAFE. Ying might be the only one a little bit left of field, but those Kendalls offer quite a bit of utility for executes. Down to Kitchen for the first round then, and Azami, as again earlier today, will make it through, and anticipating her to have quite an impact. A lot of ways though that they can be countered, as Habana has made it through. Plenty of other explosives available as well, and Nook, being one of those characters, has also slipped through an operator that has been banned a lot. Been a lot of chatter amongst pros that she is very, very powerful at the moment. Makes sense. Put a suppressor on her, a couple of grenades, sneak around the map, find picks. We'll see if that has an impact.
Kitchen cooking to start with in this match. Obviously, we've seen a little bit of KAFE over the last 2 weeks, guys, and of, well, a map that we've seen a lot of in the past, typically defender-sided. That's no longer the case now. Attacking has become quite the forte on KAFE, and with the Knights in the opening half, I now actually am coming into this, can't believe I'm saying it, expecting them to do well. 3-3 at minimum, in my eyes even. What a time we live in when it comes to KAFE. Do you agree with that sentiment after the last 2 weeks?
Is that a bait?
Well, it's kind of difficult to think otherwise. Is that not really sort of where I'm going with this at the moment? I'm not sitting back saying Wildcard are going to 100% smash it on the defense. I'm done saying it now on KAFE.
I'm just gonna take it as it comes. That's my philosophy.
Just enjoy it.
For life,
Enjoy the
not just Rainbow Six, just life. Just take it as it comes. We're just here for the journey. Teams are the one that are going to determine their own destinies. Not to get too philosophical, but it's true. And the top 2 can make it through. And funnily enough, of these 2 teams, Wildcard edging out their chances of making it. Hotly contested though. So many teams at the moment feeling like they're in good form and can really beat anyone on a given day.
Think about Wildcard, obviously, I think the Knights have been spoken about at length throughout the desk, and obviously a little bit of our discussion before getting into this game. They took down Tide in week 1. A Tide team, of course, now that is winless, and they are having a break this week. Lost to GG pretty comfortably last week. You know, we talk about the Knights must win this game. In some ways, Wildcard are teetering into that conversation, especially if they lose this. Do at least have 1 win under their belt, but they play Direwolves next week. And, you know, as I said to Rob before, Direwolves going to that one as favourites. Vince here, taken down early. Stiggs with the opening kill. A good sign there for the Knights. Still 90 seconds left in this round. And they lose the Azami. Such a big-time player, especially critical at holding key positions.
Can't disagree with that. OJ now really to hold down the line inside of VIP, and the Knights are eager to clear it. Speak easy off the back of the flash with first to peek. Default still up. That'll need to be dealt with as Stigs now comes across with Util. 2 grenades in hand, needs one of these to land. The first doesn't do much. The keeper barrier still stands, and that makes this position difficult to clear out. Stigs needs to find something, but OJ is now aware of his presence and will not overpeak.
Oh, Stig's just taking a big chunk of damage, and Bouncing's actually gone down. Not sure what's happened there. 40 seconds left. Stigs gets caught outside. He was low on health. Tuhan getting that kill. Forces Speakeasy into action, pushing down White Stairs, swinging into VIP, but well played by OJ. Love the positioning. Looking to swing now and get a little bit more. Does not have that shield, but plays rather aggressively. So aggressively that he takes a big chunk of damage. 20 seconds left in the round. Changes up his position, slows it down. Of course, no bouncing, so only 3 up for Wildcard. Essentially in that 3v3. OJ gets rid of 1. Traded immediately by Juicy. Time though. Who's got the diffuser? They don't need it. Wildcard defend. Knights choke themselves out in this opening round. A bit of a slow burning round. Just didn't go their way.
Certainly felt good up until that little duel over towards VIP. That's where I think the pacing got stalled out, and the sync from the Knights just wasn't quite there. A team where in the past they've always felt like they're on the same page for the most part, comparatively to maybe other teams in the league, but that desync there proving a little bit costly, and then elsewhere it just sort of fumbled. And Wildcard, to their credit, stood firm, knew their place, knew their time, and did a good job. They win that opening duel, that opening round. We now head up above. I think this is going to be the real tester in this game, this particular site. It's so tricky to defend, depending on your approach. Again, I'm just attracted towards that Azami pick and what Cairo is going to be able to offer the team. So many opportunities to be versatile, especially in towards Lounge. That's going to be, I think, the real strength of this lineup for Wildcard, and where the Knights, and dropping red and trying to transition that control, could find things very challenging.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse it.
Well, a good start, though, at least for Wildcard. A team that's just always sort of up and down, never really in a state of good play, bad play. Always just sort of that middle of the road, aren't they? They can have some good moments, and they can have some really bad moments. Consistency they definitely lack. Aggressive positioning, top red, beneath that hatch. Nitrocell in hand by OJ. How often do we really not see this work out, though, at this kind of level? It's generally quite rare to see the Nitrocell find a kill. We'll see if it does. Doesn't even get it to explode. Shot out of the air, and that is wasted.
Pretty naive attempt there from OJ. Knights clued in. Not all that often we would expect the Knights to be caught off guard by a play like that. And now, real task begins. Droning ahead. Seeing what's clear, what's not. Shop is being contested here by Wildcard. As elsewhere, the Knights now with an entry down below. A little bit of a lurk. Wall into Lounge at least opened up somewhat here by Juicy. That's someone from the ace, and he drops aggressive here from the Knights, but OJ responds. A down for 1, but can't quite get the second. Well done by Stigs, but Bouncing able to assist. Taken down though by Sage. It's going back and forth and back and forth. Juicy revived, and the Knights out on top, just.
And already, though, a stark contrast when we think about the 2 games of KAFE we saw from Alouette last week and this week in just those particular matches. It was a little bit more structured, a bit more controlled. This is just all over the place at the moment. Some of that, though, of course, courtesy to Wildcard in their aggressive positioning on the defense, which I think is probably the way you almost want to play this at the moment on KAFE. You can't sit back. You have to get in these aggressive positions to find these kind of kills. Credit to Cairo. Oh, he follows it up. That's actually a down onto Josh as well. So that's 2 for none from Cairo. A big power play when it looked like maybe Knights were getting some control in this round. 40 seconds left, and they're actually in a bit of shambles here. Wildcard on the verge of a 2-0 start.
30 seconds, so still time to recover Josh, but is there time to recover the round? Diffuser still down over towards that wall, and Josh really not in the best of positions. Is eventually picked up though, the sweep across. 20 seconds to go. Wildcard have been able to reinforce their positions.
15 seconds remaining.
Repositioning from Clara into freeze of Vincier gets the free kill. I mean, there's nothing that Knights can do. They don't have the time to rectify this round. It's over. It's a bit of a sloppy start from the Knights for what's been a sloppy stage from them. Wildcard make it a 2-0 start with timer running out on the Knights. You know, not gonna lie, guys, it feels like the stage might be running out for them as well.
You could say they're running out of time, but there is no OC on this stage. That is an in-joke that only the Australian fans will get. But no time really for joking around, really, for either of these teams. They know the stakes. Slightly more so for the Knights, who have really struggled here in the third stage. And it's just mind-boggling that they're in this position when you consider the experience this roster has. Not to mention the acquisition of Speakeasy, who has quite literally in the past been the best team, or pardon me, the best player in APAC as a whole, and one of the best in the world. It hasn't quite clicked yet. And there's going to be a lot of discussion as to what's happened, what's going to happen to the team, but cannot be focusing on that right now at all.
10 seconds to insertion.
Yeah, I mean, that has to be the least of their focus, doesn't it? I mean, they're 0-2. They got absolutely demolished by Elevate and Playday 1. For those that missed it, 7-1 was the result.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse.
That was on Bank, and then they lost out to Fury 7-4 on Oregon. I think the simple truth of it is, guys, there's just teams that have gone past them. When you think about Fury and where they're at and what they've been able to achieve, Stage 2, then into Stage 3. Elevate, we know are a team that's going to be contesting. Direwolves, they had a down stage in Stage 2 after a magnificent Stage 1. Gaming Gladiators making the major. So that's the top 4 teams for me at the moment. You've then got Wildcard, Titan, Knights. It doesn't bode well for those 3. So you look at this kind of matchup, and if the Knights lose this, I'm just going to say it, there's every chance they might go actually winless this stage, which is staggering when you look at that lineup. They're in some seriously poor form at the moment. But still time and still plenty of chances to turn it around if they can find a way.
Oh. Vinny gets one, then traded by the Claymore. Hard to say who that edges out. I'd say probably Wildcard a little bit. Vinny has already placed that bulletproof camera, presumably. Already placed his utility. Whereas for Sage, he'd be looking to play a more active role in this round. His impacts and his concussions from the lifeline can help clear some of this utility. Bouncing probably a good example. Inside of washrooms with a deployable shield. This puts a little bit more pressure on the likes of Stigs and Speakeasy with grenades in hand to get their job done well. Bouncing now under pressure does fall back. Tuhan tries to render some assistance but can't really move too much. That said, he still finds a kill and makes it 2. Josh with the trade in washrooms. And unfortunately the timing not great there for the re-aggression from the defender. Juicy now. Oh, that's good.
Dirty.
And it equalizes the man count to a piece.
Yeah, and suddenly now I'm almost on sort of, well, on Knights' side to win this round here. There's a lot of time. Bouncing's low on health. And you can kind of always back in the Don to salvage things for the Knights. And obviously you know what Josh is capable of. There is the Don. Juicy finds a second. Big plays from up above in Cocktail and Bar. Bouncing low health, creeping up top white stairs. Drop down from Josh and Juicy, expecting probably Bouncing to have been making his way up above. Okay, for the default plant. And Bouncing's just not reading into it at all.
Timer now ticks down, and Bouncing needs to isolate these ones. Eventually, he'll need to jump down, make a sound cure instead, go over towards red stairs. That's what he does. Avoids the Claymore and finds one. The Knights probably presumed that was clear. Now with 20 seconds to go, Josh needs to play this perfectly.
Yeah, and he's got Vert here. He's got the Vert hole, so there's no way Bouncing wins this unless Josh makes a mistake, and he's not going to. So, that's right there. The position I thought Bouncing was going to play originally, guys, when he rotated up top white stairs, pushing over towards Bar Cocktail. Instead, he went middle of Bar rather than into Cocktail. Had he gone Cocktail, I think he might have actually been in a position to deny plant, make it a 1v1, and then really flip around on its head. didn't end up doing that. But someone who did was Juicy. Big play there in the crunch to get them back in the round.
Yeah, bouncing was quite literally bouncing quite a bit around during that particular round. I think he probably could have done a slightly better job at the trades up on that top floor and probably put WILDCARD in a slightly more advantageous position. That said, did a decent job towards the end in the position that he found himself in. But ultimately, the Knights able to edge out and get around, and they needed one. The first 2 rounds were a little bit grim, and the Knights, the writing was on the wall. They needed to salvage something in that first rotation. That's what they do. A full attacker repick now heading into round 4. Glaz in play alongside Capital. I feel like we have been transported back about 4 years.
Not sure if that's a good thing either, to be honest, or a bad thing.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse it.
So, a big round win for the Knights. From doom and gloom, maybe some salvation. It can all change very quickly. But WILDCARD are playing this well in their aggression on the defense, and it's why they've gotten off to a good start. Remembering a win here for WILDCARD, especially one in regulation, would put them actually in the same amount of points as Elevate. The same scoreline as Elevate, 2 wins, 1 loss. Loss here for the Knights will 100% confirm them out the running for a spot at the major. It's already difficult to do so. Setting up potentially for that bakery push.
Bit of action up above as well. I anticipated the Knights to go for a really heavy hit over towards Bakery, really play in to that Glaz and the smokes, and that's what they do. 2 men on the hunt and Speak Easy to find the pick. Juicy was taken low, but he'll still survive for now. No util for the second phase of this push. This is when it starts to get dangerous. Speak Easy needs to dry peek, and that's not going to work out against Tuhan with the DMR. Juicy also taken down, and it's crumbling again for the Knights.
Downson just losing a bit of health there for nothing, and then ultimately taken down. Well, from crumbling to, again, finding a way back into this round. Juicy is still down, so technically 3 versus 3. Good position still for Tuhan, and of course, has eyes on that diffuser. And that's going to waste a lot of time. Aggressive positioning here by Tuhan. Does have a player in prep, though, as well, for a bit of help in OJ. But again, it's this kind of position that will win you rounds, or even potentially lose you rounds. And sometimes you've got to play into the risk. First gas babe out from OJ. Still 2 more in the pocket with 50 seconds left in the round.
Pacing pauses once more. The Knights now looking to maneuver their way in towards Bakery, but Tuhan has it on lockdown. OJ as well with the cross. There might be a man down, but WILDCARD is still in an okay spot.
Big kill again. There's 2. Make it 3 for the round. Tuhan. 7-1 in the opening 4 rounds, making a statement on his new team.
Seconds to go.
It's a travesty for the Knights. And Josh cannot resolve the issue. An issue that is becoming far too prevalent for the Knights, round to round, game to game. They are lacking creativity, guys. There's no sign of a strong team at the moment. I mean, a half-hearted push into Bakery, if not even that. Easily defended. Where is the heart in this Knights roster? Where has it gone?
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
Tough question to answer. Very tough. And the really difficult thing, at least I'm finding at the moment, is juggling that discussion of, is this WILDCARD actually playing out of their minds, or is it Knights maybe not performing up to spec? I'd say it's somewhat both, but I mean, it's so difficult to not always be constantly fearful of praising WILDCARD because they just continue to do okay and then disappoint. It's like you just keep getting heartbroken all the time. So yeah, it's a weird one. definitely an interesting story for the stage.
Attackers are
But as for
moving
the
out
Knights,
to locate a bomb and defuse it.
doesn't feel very inspired at the moment. Still though, we've seen teams in this position again earlier tonight bring back score lines to something okay for the second half, and if the Knights can 2-4 out this, they'd still be in a decent spot.
On 3 scoreline. So from what has turned into an attacking sided KAFE over the last 2 weeks, it's said sort of a trip down memory lane, and defending Wildcard off to a good start. And there's something to be said about that. Years gone by, we'd be looking at the scoreline and saying, well, it's job done at the moment. Wildcard's on the defense, it's KAFE. In the past, it's been as high as, I think, 70% defensive win rate in certain regions. That's the past, though, and this is the present. There are expectations on how to attack KAFE now. Knights just not showing it. What will be even more scary is if we go to the second half and Wildcard just sweep the floor with them as well. That's a big kill from Stigs. Gets rid of the aggressive positioned OJ inside of shot. Just over 90 seconds left. Cairo holding the next big critical position over towards washrooms and Pixel.
Set up though, the keeper barriers has deteriorated. Action elsewhere over towards red stairs. Tuhan. Surely there is a drone. Surely there was a drone. Watch this position from the Knights. It would be a fatal flaw if there isn't. Tuhan may have made sound. Attacker pops his head up. Forced back. Stig's now taken down at Tuhan. On the prowl, there was a Claymore. To shoot it out, there's 2. 2 for the price of 1. And Tuhan might get a kill. But Juicy plays it well. And now it's Cairo and Bouncing left standing.
Yeah, and full credit to the Knights playing into that aggression from Wildcard now, prepared for it. And now getting on the front foot as well themselves. Cairo, one last counterplay, not to be. I think for a split second, he might have thought washrooms had already been taken. Took his eyes off Pixel, and it cost him. Big round win for the Knights. It's not the most glamorous game so far. Definitely the second best game of KAFE tonight, guys, that's for sure. But
hey, it was hard,
these
it's
two
hard
teams,
to top it. It was hard to top the first one.
These two teams just need to scrap their way to 3 points.
Yep. That was a good way for the Knights to get one back, and overall actually quite a well-played round. I was getting really concerned, really scared over towards red stairs because we've already seen it, where the Knights have relied on the Claymores and they just haven't done their job. And you can't really place them in such a way that it's a short kill, so that's understandable. But that time, Gypsy clued in, played it really well, and then from there the rest of the team got to work. Isolated picks, didn't give Wildcard an opportunity to trade them back in response. That sets us up for a really exciting end to the half. Wildcard, their final round of the defense, they sent us over the reading. Last time the Knights able to win it in a post up above. The plant was down. Wildcard a little bit all over the place on their vert. Their hold was okay, but the Knights caused enough chaos to push through it. We'll see what happens this time. And we might see a spawn kill off the start. Well, maybe we'd see one. Wildcard running in and around over towards train. Just in case the Knights go for a brazen push horizontally.
It feels like momentum a big factor when we think back to the last time we played KAFE, girls, not too long ago. It was around this point that Fury were kind of getting beaten to a pulp. They won this final round of the half, and from there it sort of kick-started a massive chain reaction. And that might just be what's happening here for the Knights with that opening kill onto Vince here. It's a somewhat back and forth kind of game. At various points, it looked like the Knights are struggling. But in fairness, at no point has Wildcard looked like they've been firmly in control at the same time. That, for me, is also a little bit concerning. And I'm just going to say, I think this might be the bottom 2 teams this stage battling it out right now. It's got that kind of vibe to it. Stand up and shot, and he can't hit it. Cairo, generally so good in those kind of moments. 4-3, advantage to the Knights.
It's scrappy, and there's just kills all over the place at the moment. I don't see many semblances of structure in this game at the moment. So many isolated ones around different parts of the map. Heavily contested on entry. Knights finally get an entry for themselves. I'll see what they can do from it. Wildcard have retreated back down below. One player reading, one over towards 90, helping with that horizontal, and another near white. The Knights don't seem like they know it at the moment. 5 drones available, so we'd hope that within the next 15, 20 seconds they know it's clear, and then they can get to work.
45 seconds left in the round. A big round at that. 3 versus 3. It feels like whoever can win this round takes all the momentum into the second half. Whichever way you want to look at it, Knights maybe salvaging this first half. They do get to that 3-3 or wild card. Really putting the foot down with a dominant 4-2 half. One way or another, though, both teams will obviously feel like there's some work to do, but you've just got to get results on the board. Bouncer now pushing through pillars. OJ watching as well, and there was no way Josh was making it onto site, and there's no way Knights are going to win this round now. Diggs did get Tuhan, but falls immediately after. They started the round okay, but it's Wildcard that took the round out and took the half. 4-2 on the defense of KAFE, but we switch sides, we switch halves, and now we wonder though, does this end up really playing into being a defender-sided KAFE?
Big questions, and both of these teams eager for answers. I can't help but feel it's been quite difficult to split the two. Both have had moments that have been quite good and others that have been a little bit ordinary. See if Wildcard can tighten things up and close out this map, or if Knights have something to say about it. Go up above for the first round, and a lineup we would expect. It's all about the Knights just trying to consolidate something here. And I think, in my opinion, they need to get off to a good start. Losing the opening round here just puts so much pressure on them. With match point looming, they know at this point that dropping basically any point is going to spell disaster. So that's not something that they want weighing on their minds, and if they can avoid that situation completely, that would be ideal.
Attackers must locate and defuse a bomb.
It's hard to really pinpoint though who has the real momentum at this point. It's been back and forth. At no point do you really sit back and say Wildcard is firmly in control of this game, and the Knights are never too far out of it. That has to bode well though for the Knights at this point, being down just the 2 rounds. There is a way that they can still win this game, get the 3 points that they need. I'm probably in the camp that I think even 2 points here, Guz, is not really going to be enough. I'm just going to be completely honest. This is Wildcard, in no disrespect, it's probably not a top 3, top 4 team, not a team that's likely to go to the major. You need all 3 points. Speak easy. Finding the opening kill into Cairo will certainly help their defense here in this 7th round.
This is the man you want posted up in these positions. Some added pressure from Stigs, and this is going to be a tough one for Wildcard to open up. There is Stigs. Right on cue. This is a Knights round. Lose. Speak easy, just needs to be careful. He doesn't get too aggressive. Although there is a player down and he tries to collect it with the impact. It won't land. These shots might though. Oh, not quite. Batson's still down. Wildcard trying to bait Speak easy. Oh, it almost works. The rappel now. Just teasing him a little bit more. You can tell how eager Speak easy is to jump out, and it works out. OJ for the delayed trade. But the round is already over.
But it's messy. Yeah, I know I'm being a little bit critical this map, Guz, and in fairness, I think the major reason for that is we've been treated to a very, very good KAFE all of an hour and a half ago. It was never going to obviously live up to that game that we saw from Fury and Elevate, but I think in some ways it does kind of... Oh, that's a nice down to Stigs from OJ. It does kind of highlight where both teams are currently at the moment, unfortunately. Big round win, though, for the Knights, and brings it back to 3 versus 4 on the scoreboard, I should say.
OJ putting in his best efforts. No hurt in trying. 20 seconds now remains, but efforts at this point likely futile. Still yet to even get his boots on the ground. This is
15 seconds to go.
KAFE, ladies and gentlemen, and it's Josh to close it out.
3-4. It's probably not one for the replays. It's not one for
Hey,
the historicals.
The jump out was kind of hype. Probably the most exciting
talking
moment we've
about
had so far.
The game really as a whole so far. A little bit depressing in some ways, because when you think about where the Knights once were, struggling at the moment. You give credit to WILDCARD when the Knights are sort of just down and out. Remember coming into this game, right? So Knights have played 2 weeks. They've only won 5 rounds in those 2 weeks. They have a -9 round differential. It's the worst start I think they've ever had in APAC South. It's been a disaster stage for them, and the fact is, you know, they were only just, what, 1 round ago, down 2-4 against WILDCARD, another team that's, you know, in the bottom 3. We're not looking at the finest of Siege here. We're not looking at 2 teams that are arguably contending to go to the major. There's 4 teams above both of them, and only 2 slots.
5 seconds left before insertion.
It's just sort of, it's the harsh
Attackers are heading
realism of the situation.
You're not known for bending the truth, Jake, so whatever you say, I believe it. Sigs, though. Having a peek out the window. See, another impactful jump out here, maybe from the Knights, or maybe an early kill. Oh, wow.
drop the bomb diffuser.
That's
nice.
Is very nice. Hard breach down, OJ out. And
Attackers
that's
will
how
put the bomb diffuser.
APAC South is playing KAFE at the moment, especially on defense. Super disruptive, going for cheesy picks, and it works. It keeps working.
Yeah, get in front of these windows, block off the attackers. As you said, go for those picks, get into those aggressive positions. In the past, it was all about, you know, sitting back behind in positions like Pixel, Washroom. Now you're pushing all the way out to Ledge. Why? Because you've got an operator such as this that can just block off so much vision, allow you to have this kind of control, these keeper barriers. But the Knights, to their credit, they're working their way into this match. In all fairness, the last couple of rounds, guys, they're getting opening kills. They're taking a bit more of their time, understanding that the aggression that WILDCARD's bringing here and how to deal with that. 90 seconds left. Tuhan, through timing, almost found a kill, but a little bit delayed, but does clear out this train position. Elsewhere, Stigs is just clearing the map by himself. He's got 3. The Knights are probably going to make this a 4-4 scoreline. And all of a sudden, WILDCARD's lead has all but evaporated.
This is a cheeky angle from Tuhan. Don't know if he quite saw the elbow there. Nonetheless, needs to find ground and do it quickly. Avoids the traps as Vinny finds one. A quad for Stigs, now on for the ace. And he might be able to get it. As Sage goes prone, but it's Speak easy to get the final pick. Started off well for the Knights and they close it out well. Not a bad response so far. Into round 9. Continues to be scrappy and hard fought by both teams, but at least it's close.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a close game is always a good game. I think we can agree with that. Everyone likes it, especially as the neutrals like these games to be close, 4-4. And at no point have we really seen either of these 2 teams break away, get 2-3 rounds and really look strong in those particular rounds as well. The only thing I will say is probably the last 2 rounds, the Knights have looked a little bit cleaner. So going off recency, I would be a little bit worried if WILDCARD lose this round. Very, very worried. It's turned into a defender-sided KAFE quite significantly. And if that does obviously keep up, then the Knights will be sort of coming home strong. 5-4 if they make it, then I would be anticipating that timeout from Wildcard to follow. Big round.
5 seconds remaining.
Interesting again, we're going to see that Capitao in play for Wildcard. Now we saw that on Knights attack, they did sort of like a 2-3 split. They headed the Glaz and the Cap in towards Bakery, attempted to clear that, somewhat successful. Interested to see how Wildcard try and implement it in their plans this time. Obviously no Glaz in play, so can't directly go for picks that way, but could try and isolate some different positions, try and gain ground through the smokes. A tool which has really fallen out of fashion in Siege. Again, you go back a few years and it was all the rage, but let's see if Wildcard can maybe pull it off here. Sage is the man under the pressure. He's playing that cupcake position. We'll see how long he can last.
Such a critical position. Sage certainly capable though. Oh, he does get cleared out immediately. That's such a big win for Wildcard. Really well played. Kara then finding a kill onto Juicy. I mean, that's just really digging in. Much better round from Wildcard. Talk about clearing out sort of your key win conditions. Bakery is firmly theirs now. And that's just the perfect start to a round. Can't really get anything better than that. How do the Knights respond? You do still have 2 Nitro cells. But this is where Wildcard are just not pushing into Bakery. They're still going upstairs. They're still clearing. And I like that. Sometimes you can almost get sort of lulled into this false sense of steam where you've cleared out Bakery. Let's just push Bakery. But you do that, then suddenly you're susceptible to those Nitro cells and to sort of grouping up and funneling in through one direction. This is smart from Wildcard. Clearing out above is still a big priority, and they're going for that.
The Knights now will be feeling the pressure to make a play. Stig's probably poised in the best position to make one over towards White. Thought he almost heard the call and made his move, but no. Instead has a good angle in towards Fireplace. Vinny taken down. He gets a second onto Tuhan. Droned out, falls back.
So essentially 2 for none. That evens it up. Vinny's down upstairs, but he will get brought back up. Okay, so big, especially on the sledge, can do some damage there inside of Train as well as mining. But now all of a sudden 40 seconds left. You at least do have Bakery control. No one inside of prep either for the Knights. Making a long, long way to the front entrance here. And it's going to be go time. They're going to have to just send it from a couple of different angles. So at the very least, not funneling, but hard to then get trades. Bye-bye, Vinny. Oh, the explosions ring out. Not the way of Wildcard until that shot by OJ. 15 seconds left, heading to the final seconds of this 9th round to see who's going to take this lead. Speakeasy took a bit of damage, still has a gas babe. He hits him with the headshot on the SMG-11. OJ falls as well. The Knights continue on 3 rounds in a row. On the defense of KAFE, they are looking solid.
Certainly didn't look that way at the beginning of the round, but props has to be given to Stig. Someone had to initiate a play. He had a fantastic angle, a good read. Great presence of mind to swing 90 as well. Netted himself 1.5 kills and then actually finished it off in the end with the Nitro. That alleviated some pressure, not all of it of course, as the Knights at that point had only just brought back the disadvantage. The rest of the team though, especially Speakeasy, stepped up. Sage did a decent job here for the most part, but then Juicy succumbed to the pressure, and here's that play from Stigs. Gets the first, the down, and then super sharp on the 2. I probably didn't even see him there on the swing. Yeah.
What a game from Stigs though. At the moment, he's really just sort of like a one-man army. Speakeasy helping out, and as my prediction came true, Guz, it is a Knights round win into a wildcard timeout. Tactical, of course, and definitely needed now. 3 rounds in a row to the Knights. When we think back to really that first half, 2-4 lead to wildcard, the Knights offense just looked really, really poor. Lacked conviction, lacked creativity. On a map that has actually seen attackers generally do quite well in the last 2 weeks, and we've seen a little bit of KAFE. And that did put doubt in my mind coming into the second half, but I guess it would be quite fitting with these two teams that we maybe go back a year or two and really favor that defense.
10 seconds to go.
Yes. I think it's probably just a bit of a byproduct of two O's teams going at it,
Seconds left.
approaching the map quite differently to some of their Southeast Asian
Attackers must locate.
counterparts. Again, a spawn peek from Stigs. Will it be successful? Oh my word. Almost. Clips the shoulder of Cairo, who will just survive with his life. But some good pressure. Probably just stall out this initial push a little bit for Wildcard. And just spare the Knights a little bit of time. Again, as we've seen the trend tonight, the entry through Bakery now up red, this time on the Nook. Such a dangerous operator in the current meta. Can lurk around, has grenades. Question remains, how many kills can Bounce and have? How much of an impact will he have? Or almost. Almost gets the entry but misses.
This is where the Nook is so strong on this map, being able to navigate, get into good positions and try and get away from having to push through a window and get caught by defenders on the front line. You want to just try and sneak around the back into mining, and suddenly just puts all the pressure onto Juicy here. He's got no idea where Bouncing's going to peek from. So it was Josh.
Oh, good trade.
Juicy from above, though, does get the trade. And that's fine. I think, honestly, if you're going to go up against that Nook, and it's a 1-for-1, I don't think that's that bad. That's nice from Stigs. Knights in control now. And I think for the first time in this match, a team is really, really controlling the game.
Yep, does feel like the Knights are dictating the terms now a little bit. Wildcard forced into awkward positions. Their ability to trade picks just not there. Too hard, for instance, there on the rappel. Either there wasn't a drone watching his run out, or if there was, it wasn't being watched, and then no one else able to trade that back. So it puts them now in a bad position. Not an unwinnable position, but unfavorable nonetheless. Knights read into that. They fall back. So many powerful crosses that could be held in the top 4 here for KAFE, and they won't want to forfeit them.
$50 seconds left into the 10th round. Knights close now to picking up match point. Desperately seeking all 3 points. Juicy taken down. It brings it back to 3 versus 3, but I'm going to be honest, the final boss is still alive in Stigs, 13-7. That, for me, is the big one that Wildcard still have to deal with. They get rid of Speak Easy. All too easy by OJ. Now in a 2 versus 3. Where is Stigs, the man of the moment? It's been his game so far. And he's got a good angle from Cocktail. That's Sage, though. Headshot onto OJ. Down as well onto Vincia. Well, it was the Sage show in the end. Stigs was supposed to be the Batman, not Sage. But sometimes even Robin has a good round or two. Match point by the Knights.
Just let that one simmer for a little bit. Just let the dust settle on what has been quite the game. Good reposition there from Sage. Really well done. In towards backstore, not expected. Looked a little bit shaky there for the Knights, it has to be said. Wildcard did a great job to fight back, but just losing that one player early on came back to bite them. Knights now with match point. And in fact, correct me if I'm wrong. Definitely not wrong. It's their first point. So, look, claps in the chat for the Knights. It is their first point for APAC South in Stage 3. Woo! Took probably longer than we expected, and I don't mean that in a BM way at all. Such a great team. Such a great pedigree. Just not quite performing to what we expected, and I'm sure they expected of themselves. Perhaps this could kickstart something for the stage. So hard still to place Wildcard. Know exactly where they sit, but a win here is a win.
Yeah. And in all honesty as well, I know that the first half, I especially was probably a little bit harsh on the Knights. Their attacking half was arguably not that amazing, but I think when you're down 2-4, in a stage where you're down already 2 maps, you know, you're 0 and 2, you're struggling, the resiliency to bounce back, I think here has been really, really showing from the Knights, especially if they actually go on and win this round and win 7-4. That's a 5-round win streak to close out. That's commanding, that's in control, and it gives them such a breath of life going into the rest of this stage. It's massive.
it's honestly stage altering. Kyra there with a headshot onto Juicy. But let's not get ahead of ourselves just yet. Still more to be played here. But a big, big game from Stigs. Speak Easy, 8 and 7. Sage, 8 and 5. Josh, probably a little quiet, 5 and 6. So much talent on this Knights roster.
They just chain it together for one more round, though. That's the question. Keep our eyes on Stigs and Bouncing, unknowingly staring at one another. Stigs has played so well in this game, but I cursed him. Bouncing drops him. No trade. Too risky of a swing. Now Josh, can he be the one to step up? We've seen the Knights bring back rounds like these in the past. This one, though, not looking likely. That said, Wildcard are still contesting for some control. I think now OJ is bringing that diffuser over towards a horizontal push. Oh, this could be the play.
Big one from Cairo. Big round from Cairo.
Ooh.
Finally taken down. Second shot from Josh, though. That's the critical one. The first was somewhat expected with Cairo so brazenly pushing into sight, but the second shot from Josh is perfect. And suddenly 2v3, it's not unwinnable. 50 seconds left, both on site, both in a really good position to halt this attack. OJ, half health as well, vulnerable. Vincia still above. Is there a chance the Knights can force a couple of 1v1s to close out this round?
What push the Wildcard go for? They're going now over towards Pillars for default plan. Probably the best position. That said, still a player inside of Laundry.
Oh, Josh, though, falls into the nade, bouncing. It bounces on top of him. And that is going to be a second kill straight away as well. He was a monster last week. And now he's bouncing nades all over the shop here on KAFE. 6-5. Match point still to the Knights, but a chance to send this one to overtime.
Yeah, really good entry there from Cairo, showing the power of the Nook. Then we took our attention over to that little squabble in train, and then Cairo exploded, thought maybe he'd get the 2K there and really put the nail in the coffin, but it was Josh to give one last gasp to the Knights. Bouncing, of course, in the meantime, got that grenade pick. I was genuinely looking at that nade counter for the last sort of 45 seconds, is really hoping and praying that Bouncer would use them into great effect. That's what he did. And the Knights now with some serious pressure in response. Question last round was, can they close it out? Now it's a question of, can they prevent overtime? They know every single point is absolutely critical. For Wildcard, it's less so. Obviously, they need to push it to overtime, so there's still that to play for. But for the Knights, they lose a point from this point onwards. I do not see them making the top 2 in any scenario.
No. Such a big opportunity to get all 3 points right here and now to get their stage back on track. They play Tide next week, guys. Well, not next week, I guess, but next Playday. A team that has also been struggling. So if you beat Wildcard and then you beat Tide, you've got the points in the bank to then bring you home. You've got to then play GG and Direwolves. Not exactly impossible. Especially with Fury and Elevate occupying those top spots at the moment. You've already lost to both of them. That's fine, but win everything else and suddenly there's a chance and a hope. It's a small one. You've got to win this round. It's so critical for the long run for this stage. The same can be said, obviously, for Wildcard's hopes. 3 points at the moment through 2 Playdays.
Bit of action over towards Red Stairs. Wildcard seeing that as a opportunity to take ground. Question will be, how heavily is that contested? And I don't think it is really by the Knights. Bouncing continues his good run of rounds. That's his 10th pick in the match, now in the double digits. Make it 11.
Oh, Bouncing.
Make it 11. Stigs trying once more to make a play, but he can't. And this match now really feels like it could be pushed to overtime, and with that kill, all
It's
but
done.
confirmed.
Yeah. Takes something crazy to happen from here for Josh and Speakeasy to win this round. In fairness, 2v4 is not impossible. Get the next kill, suddenly 2v3, but a bit of doubt in the minds of Wildcard. Oh, just watching Tuhan's health in the background. Same with Josh, holding top white. Pulls back, still has a Kiba barrier to play with, at least from Sage. The next couple of seconds, so critical here. Wildcard, see their silhouettes in the background, trying to play off of each other. One pushing through Pixel. And it's just sort of forcing Josh constantly back. But Speakeasy's going for the flank. This is a winning play from Speakeasy. One just sitting inside of washrooms. Will he spot him? He does. Sitting there on a drone. He can push past him, maybe look for more. Quick headshot, quick run away. Put your gun in the air. He went for the sprint through White Corridor, knowing full well they're still above. 1 versus 3 now for Josh to secure all 3 points for the Knights.
Over towards White Stairs now. Very tough position. Oh my word, he gets the first. OJ had to have been low there. They almost lined up like toy soldiers, but the bearing 9 for the final kill. And it's time for round 13.
So we head to overtime. And while we applauded the Knights for getting their first points of the stage, we now applaud Wildcard for sending this one to OT. Deserved in the end, Guz, winning the last 2 rounds off the back of bouncing. As a tactical timeout is called by the Knights. It takes a little bit away. It takes a little bit of that gloss away from the Knights. It was 5 round wins in a row. But what's with the sprint? From Speakeasy, with the player still down below, you just don't have to sprint there.
You've got the outlines and he doesn't.
No, but I mean, in the scenario of understanding that there are members of Wildcard in and around Cocktail, mate.
Maybe you should start playing competitive.
You know what, man? You know what? Just get me in there. Don't worry about Speakeasy.
What rank were you last season?
Whatever rank you were, +1.
So you were bronze 2.
Well, if you weren't bronze, I can't believe you'd be bronze. So I think you're just lying. Either way, we head to overtime. It takes a little bit away from the Knights, unfortunately, after winning 5 rounds in a row. I'm not gonna lie, I started to kind of get back on the little Knights bandwagon a bit, guys, after those 5 round wins. So close to getting all 3 points. They played tied next Playday. Kind of fumbled the bag a little bit here, and the whole 2 points still up for grabs. It doesn't seem like that's going to be enough, having already lost 2 regulation matches.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no mathematician, but the numbers are telling me at least that Knights' chances of the top 2 now, even with a flawless continuation on the stage, or like winning every single match in regulation from this point onwards, is, yeah, it's really not good at all. But sort of encapsulates the stage so far for the Knights. No one really to blame but themselves. Hasn't quite clicked. As for Wildcard though, maybe a more positive discussion. Pushing this to OT might allow them bag a couple of points. Hold that point. Bounson looks for a kill, and he gets it. And he gets it. Juicy down. Josh for a trade, and just to round out that point, any result here for Wildcard in OT will be okay. Keeps them in the mix, keeps them in the fringes of that discussion.
Honestly, at this point, hard to sort of envision who's going to win this one. It's tense. From 5 rounds in a row to the Knights and seemingly fully in control. In what felt like almost out of nowhere, Wildcard responding.
The attacker's bomb diffuser has been dropped.
Credit a Wildcard team, and I know it's not the team, guys, but in probably months and years gone by would have maybe just sort of fallen over. Maybe signs of things to come for this particular iteration of the roster.
Lion scan rains out. Josh poised for a jump out. Don't quite know what he's looking for because there's absolutely no one there. Wildcard poised over towards the western side of the map. Lurker down below. That's bouncing. Still a grenade in hand. Speakeasy, though, who's inside of lounge. Got one traded by Vinny. We'll see if this nade lands. No, not quite where it needed to be. OJ with good drone deep on the cross. 3 versus 3. A very tense first round of OT.
And the 3 of Wildcard just basically playing off of each other right now. Big position here for Stigs on site. So it's Sage. "20 seconds left. Quiet once again here on this Cafe game. It's been a slow burn.
15 seconds to go.
Sage
Ooh.
just pops up. Not quite a headshot, but it doesn't matter. Got the kill onto OJ anyway. Vinny half health, but he finds the kill onto Sage. Josh making the swing through white corridor off the red ping. He knows where to spray, knows where to shoot. He got the down onto bouncing. Vinny got off of it. Vinny just got off of it.
Run out of time.
An anticlimactic end to the round. Vinny getting off the diffuser. And we have seen it so many times where if players had hindsight on their side, they would not have made that decision. That said, the round is probably already lost. The big disappointment there, and I mean, the praise to the Knights has to go retaking that white stairs corridor, reopening that cross, and exposing the plant was well played.
Attackers need to locate
The Knights
and
now
defuse bombs.
reclaim match point once more. Can only be for 2 points towards the standings, but desperately in search for anything at this point. Wildcard to bunker down over towards kitchen.
So once again, match point for the Knights. This time, can they close out to secure the 2 points? The 2 points first of the stage.
10 seconds to insertion.
In some ways, but probably almost all but
5 seconds to
the
insertion.
time wildcard to most likely missing out on the major.
Attackers must locate.
Already one regulation loss into a potential OT loss. They would be teetering on that verge. Taking on Direwolves next week and then Elevate after that.
Oh. Just when it felt like Stigs was a little bit quiet, he pops up again. This time towards the IP, the vicinity. Now the Knights with the advantage. 5 versus 4. Speakeasy takes a little bit of damage. I presume that's from Bakery. He's contesting that position. The rest of the team working elsewhere. Speakeasy, of course, doesn't necessarily want to push that by himself. That would be a little bit of a death trap. And the nature of Cafe means that it's going to take him actually quite a while to rotate from that position safely. He'll be cautious of a potential run out, but it's Stigs again for the second.
Yeah, where's this just being found? Credit to the Knights. Too easy. We watch Speakeasy now. Surely from here, they're going to get the job done. Wildcard just wiltering. Cairo's still just holding this Bakery position for his own. Guys, what's going on? Well, patience pays off, but now he knows he's got to probably move elsewhere. He can't just keep holding that position. Too much has happened elsewhere on the map, and it's now just all about defending site with Vinny.
And they do it though. It's going to be quite the challenge, especially if the vert gets unlocked here by the Knights. A bit of remodeling up above happening now with the sledge at least. Oh, sorry. Pardon me. Must have been one piece of utilities. Obviously Speakeasy's dead. Nonetheless though, as I get lost in the source, wildcard cannot afford to. The 2 versus 4, their last opportunity to push for a win. And it's just not looking good for them. Cairo in the 1v4.
Cleaned out from above by Sage. Josh then pushes down as well and gets the kill. The Knights get there in the end. They had the chance at all 3 points, squandered a little bit, but ultimately come out on top to secure their first win of the stage. APAC South Stage 3, 2 points in the bank. It's a long, long road to the top, but they begin their journey. And obviously for Wildcard, guys, it's their second defeat in a row. Playday 2 and now Playday 3. Their signs of making the major starting to really falter.
Yeah, it's such a... I don't know if you're getting this vibe, but it's a bit of a weird